Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith from the studios for our flagship stations, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition today, as always today on the television side, we're also joined on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 in the Birmingham Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access, and then also on the same channels in the Southfield area on City Cable 15 of Southfield. In Waterford, we're on the media network of Waterford on Channel 10. On the radio side, as always, of course, 89.3 Lakes FM. And then in the Bloomfield Hills area, we're on 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, who joins us every single day here on the program. Then we're online on Facebook via Facebook Live on Facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15 and Facebook.com/LakesFM. And then we're on the web as well. CivicCenterTV.com. Just click on our Watch Live link, or view us at the small player at the top right of our homepage on your computer web browser, and then in the left margin on your web browser on your mobile phone. We're also on My Michigan TV online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can find their programming at mymytv.com. MYMITV.com. It's My Michigan TV that you can also download on your smartphone as well as on your smart TV. Places like the iOS App Store, the Android App Store for your mobile phone, and then for your smart TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Samsung Smart TV, and a number of other places as well. Of course, learn more information at My Michigan TV's website, mymytv.com. That is mymytv.com, or by going to our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, or go to our website and click on the Megacast link, where you can learn more information about all of our partnering television, radio, and other media outlets that join us every single day, more of the programming that they do outside of 10 a.m. to 12 noon when they join us live here on the Megacast, and find all of our interviews and our full episodes on demand right there as well, civiccentertv.com/megacast, because we know it's not easy to tune into us live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon every single day of the work week. You got other things going on. 2 hours is a long time to be tuning in to one single TV show like this when you're in the middle of the thick of things, especially in the mornings. And so we provide that to you on demand on our website so that you can view the Megacast each and every day on your time, whatever time you have to provide to this news program, to this talk program. You can find that on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, whether you want to watch the full 2-hour show on your time and by clicking on watch full episodes, or only specific interviews that are in your areas of interest or importance by clicking on our watch full interviews link. And then, in addition to all of that, if you have an idea for somebody or some topic that we can cover here in the local area or across the state of Michigan, just scroll down to the bottom of that page to the Talk to the Megacast team fill-out form, where you can put your name, your email address, the subject, and send us a message with any suggestions for people that we should talk to or topics that we should cover, and maybe somebody we can talk to about those topics. We'd love to hear from you. Again, that's all at civiccentertv.com/megacast. Then right next door to that, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, we have helpful links and important links for you from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the State of Michigan, and the Oakland County Health Division's specific COVID-19 web pages. This is where you can find information on the COVID-19 vaccines, on COVID-19 case and positivity numbers in the state of Michigan, in your county, in Oakland County, if you're in our immediate coverage area, and all across the U.S. as well, from sources that are providing you with accurate information from the front lines. And they also provide you with information that can lead you to reputable studies about COVID-19, about the vaccine, about testing, about preventative measures, and you can learn more about what measures are in place in your local area as well from our links to local municipalities. Again, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, because in your town it might be a different situation with COVID-19 than it is over here in West Bloomfield Township. What one city, one township, one village is doing is going to be different from a lot of the others. There's going to be a lot of similarities, but there are going to be a lot of differences. You need to know that for your hometown, for yourself, for your family, for your work environment, etc. And you can find all that information from reliable sources, which is so important, especially today when we're getting so much of our information from the internet, by going to our website, civiccentertv.com, and click on the coronavirus link at the top of the page on your computer web browser and in the left margin on our scroll down menu on your cell phone web browser. And you can also find our top headlines each and every day as we continue to cover stories pertaining to the coronavirus pandemic and more. And today's top story from Bridge, Michigan is their coronavirus tracker, where cases top 4,000 per day for the first time since April. Michigan reported 8,058 new COVID-19 cases on Friday for an average of 4,029 cases between Thursday and Friday. It is the single highest number of daily cases since 4,371 were reported on April 28th of this year. The surge in cases, well above the 3,387 reported on Wednesday of last week, puts the 7-day daily average at 3,223, the first time over 3,000 since May 4th, when it was at 3,204. For those of you keeping count, that is a 19-case increase from that last big surge. Those under 20 accounted for 27% of the cases in the past week, 7,300 or nearly 26,800 cases. For the entire pandemic, that age group has accounted for less than 18% of total cases. Case rates are rising in 59 of the state's 83 counties, with a statewide rate at about 32 cases per day per 100,000 residents. But 6 counties are over 70 cases per day per 100,000, including Mackinac and Ogama. All are in northern or western Michigan. The state reported an additional 79 COVID-19 deaths, including 42 that came following a review of vital records. Hospitalizations only rose slightly during this time period, with 1,708 patients being treated for confirmed or suspected COVID-19 statewide. That's only 5 more than were reported last week, Wednesday. Testing data showed that 9% of tests were coming back positive. The weekly rate has risen to 9.4% from 8.8% last week. Coronavirus caseloads and deaths are increasing throughout Michigan as the Delta variant spreads throughout the state. On Wednesday, of course, 100 deaths last week Wednesday were reported. That was the single highest daily total in over 4 months. All other numbers from last week's coronavirus tallies: in suburban Wayne County, it had 71 deaths over the course of the month of September. That's 2.6% of all 2,704 deaths in the county since March of 2020. This wave of deaths has been more pronounced in other counties as well. Midland County had 12 deaths in September, nearly 11% of its total pandemic numbers, while Hillsdale County reported 10 deaths. That's about 9% of its total tally. The state's least populated county, Keweenaw, in the Upper Peninsula, had 2 COVID-19 deaths in September. That is up from 1 in all previous months of the pandemic. The increased cases come as the increase comes as cases are rising rapidly in many other areas of the state, with the entire state, all 83 counties, now classified by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as having high or substantial rates of community spread of COVID-19. Other top stories at our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Last week there were reports of threats being made on, particularly on women, on the campus of the University of Michigan. It was suspected at one point it may have been from Russian bots. The FBI was brought in. The University of Michigan police, of course, heavily involved in investigating these threats. And the Detroit Free Press reports now the U of M police and the FBI investigated the shooter threat at the University of Michigan. The University of Michigan's Division of Public Safety and Security and the Federal Bureau of Investigation investigated a post on Saturday on a Russian-operated confessions website where a user threatened to come to the U of M campus with a gun and shoot women. The post has since been deleted, and DPSS and the FBI have identified the person responsible at an out-of-state residence, determined that there is no imminent threat to the community, according to a news release. Quote, "On October 4th, I'm going to the University of Michigan and blow away. I'm going to go to the University of Michigan and blow away every single woman I see with an AR-15, end closed quote. The original post reads. It continued on, quote, "There is a violent pro-male revolution coming, and you better get ready for it," end closed quote. Screenshots of the post circulated on social media and in student groups, inciting fear in the community. The Michigan Division of Public Safety and Security at the university said it was at its highest priority and urged all members of the campus community to contact the division if something doesn't seem quite right. If you have any information regarding this incident, please call DPSS at 734-763-1131. Again, that is 763-1131, or email them at dpss-safety-security@umich.edu. And again, both this phone number and that email from this article summary from the Detroit Free Press is on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Both of those at the end of this article that you will see with an icon next to it with the University of Michigan's Police Department logo. Lastly, on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, making headlines today, 800 acres in southwest Michigan could soon become state recreational area. That is also from the Detroit Free Press. The state has its eyes on 800 acres in southwest Michigan as a possible recreation area. The Department of Natural Resources is seeking $4.7 million in grant funds from the Natural Resources Trust Fund to buy the land from Andrews University, and officials said the property was previously donated to the school. The land in Berrien County is bordered by US 31 to the north and the St. Joseph River on the west, the Herald Palladium reported. It's already popular with hunters. Quote, "It's a gorgeous piece of land," end closed quote, said Valerie Frawley, a DNR biologist. She continued on by saying, quote, "I think it will be good for the people of the area. It would be a great state game area and provide the public with more access to the area," and closed quote. Officials in Berrien and Buchanan townships have endorsed the effort. Quote, "They said they plan to put in a few walking paths, but don't have any major plans to change anything," and closed quote, said Berrien Township Supervisor Brian Bixby. Bixby continued on, "They told us that it would be one of the largest natural wildlife areas in the lower half of the state," and closed quote. Again, that entire article from the Detroit Free Press on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. In addition to all of those articles, again, cannot stress it enough how important it is that you take and visit the CDC's website, the State of Michigan's Health and Human Services Department's website, as well as the Oakland County Health Division's website about COVID-19, especially the Oakland County Health Division's website if you're in our immediate coverage area, because that has so much information that you need about coronavirus vaccines, case numbers, testing, where you can get vaccinated, different information on the vaccines specifically. Also has more information on drive-through testing sites, as well as frequently asked questions and community resources. And then on top of all that, you can get your questions immediately answered, or at least get yourself pointed in the right direction in answering some of your questions about COVID-19 from their experts on the Nurse On Call hotline, which you can find the phone number, the email, and the text line for the Nurse On Call hotline at the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 website. It also takes you from one extra link click to the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 vaccine hub at oaklandcountyvaccine.com. You literally have 2 clicks to make from civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. You click on Oakland County, you scroll down just a little bit, and you click, and then you click on the link that says Vaccine Hub, and it'll take you exactly where you need to go to learn more about eligibility for COVID-19 vaccines for your children and for yourself if you're looking to get one of the booster shots. That's available currently. It's just the Pfizer vaccine booster shot for certain populations. It gives you information on the safety of the vaccines, data about the vaccines, frequently asked questions, and contact information so you can ask more questions to doctors and to nurses in the Oakland County Health Division and get yourself pointed in the right direction to not only do your own research, if that's what you choose to do, and to double check the work that's being done of the experts on our front lines, but be pointed to resources that are accurate, that are factual, that have been done by people that have researched COVID-19 and are on and are medical experts in our community and throughout the state of Michigan, instead of a lot of these other places that you can find information, but it may not be accurate and it may be very misleading and put you and your community in a much more dangerous spot than getting this accurate information from resources at the county level, from the Oakland County Health Division, at the state level, from the Michigan Department Department of Health and Human Services, and from the federal level from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We have a great show ahead of you today. Joining us coming up next at 10:20, the Executive Director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, Jason Langwell, will join us, talk a little bit about golf in the Metro Detroit area. That coming up at 10:20. At 10:40, Mark Brewer, an election law attorney and the former chair of the Michigan Democratic Party, will join us. And later on in the show, Paula Swain of the Financial Center for Women of Southfield will join us on the program to talk about financial planning. And then later on, we'll also be joined by Culinary Combo Bakeries Jody Polk and Jessica Barris. And then a little bit of motivation in the second hour of the show, as we'll be joined by motivational strategy speaker and mindset life coach Stacie Rene, once again with us today on the Megacast. That is all coming up next. You're watching and listening to our show on a number of different TV, radio, and other media outlets here in the local area.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you. Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation. Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Calvin Brown, our studio producer and board operator, joining us every day alongside me here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, where we broadcast live from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, but we're always on demand on our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you can also find more information about all of the partnering television, radio, and other media outlets from the Oakland County area and all throughout the state of Michigan, and learn more about all the great programming that they're doing in the other 22 hours of the day that they're not joining us for our live show here on the Megacast, where we talk about a number of topics related to COVID-19 and other areas of interest in southeastern Michigan, in Metro Detroit, and all throughout the state. And what better area of interest as we head out of summer and into fall and into the last few weeks of golf season than to talk about the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And we're pleased to be joined by the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, Jason Langwell, with us now on the Megacast. Jason, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So the Rocket Mortgage Classic, it's really special to the local area because after the Buick Open in 2009, the Detroit area went without really any major golf tournament on a yearly basis, really until the Rocket Mortgage Classic in 2019. And before that drought, we had the Buick Open, of course. We had the Ryder Cup that was regularly coming to the local area. So tell us a little bit about how the Rocket Mortgage Classic developed and ultimately came to be this yearly event with the PGA and with major golfers here in the Detroit area.
Yeah, Tyler, I was actually there. I used to work in the Buick Open, actually. before being here. I had a couple jobs in between, but I was there in 2009 when Tiger won, and on the green. It was a very emotional time for a lot of the Buick executives, and it took golf out of the state of Michigan, but there had never been any professional golf event in downtown Detroit. And thanks to the vision of Dan Gilbert and Rocket Mortgage, they said, look, let's find a way to bring a professional event to downtown Detroit. Because of that, we were able to bring the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And so in early, I'd say mid-2018, the decisions were just finalizing being made by Jay Farner and his leadership team at Rocket Mortgage to bring the PGA Tour event, which was in D.C. at the time, and move it here to Detroit. Then I'm fortunate enough, my company Intersport has a relationship with Rocket Mortgage, was helping them with their sports sponsorship work, engaged us about finding a way to help them do sales, marketing, and operations for the event. And then the PGA Tour were just so focused and just loved the idea of bringing their only PGA Tour event in the regular season to an urban core like Detroit. So all those things came together under Dan and Jay's leadership, and we found a way to turn that vision that they had into a reality. And now we're all blessed to be able to have 156 of the best players in the world showing up here for 1 week a year to help us celebrate this great city.
And on the onset, from the onset of bringing this tournament back to Detroit, you talked about the role that Jay Farner, that Dan Gilbert, that organizationally Rocket Mortgage has had in building this tournament, this PGA golf tournament, this professional tournament in downtown Detroit, but also keeping it here. And it was just some exciting news that sponsorship was extended. What does that ultimately mean for the tournament that's still kind of in its infancy, still developing its identity, but it's had a couple of really exciting years of golf to start it off?
Yeah, no, that's right, Tyler. We're very excited about the announcement. As you mentioned, we were just Commissioner Jay Monahan, Jay Farner, myself, the three Rocket Mortgage Golf ambassadors. We had Lexi Thompson, Ricky Fowler, Bryson DeChambeau, who's been a little bit busy of late, came to town here just a week ago to make an exciting announcement about extending the event through 2027. And in just 3 short years, we've had a chance to, our focus has been really trying to build some momentum, right? And so now we've got a chance with this news to build upon that momentum. And it's exciting, just if not only if you're just a fan of golf, if you're a fan of Detroit, we're having an opportunity now to celebrate the city and come together to do so, not only in person, but actually create a global stage for the city of Detroit on television and shine a spotlight on this great city. So it's huge news for us and just gives us tons of momentum to build upon what we've already done over the last 3 years.
And having that sponsorship, having that support, not only from Rocket Mortgage, but also from an established club like the Detroit Golf Club, how does that help in recruiting or attracting those big name professional players like a Ricky Fowler, like a Bryson DeChambeau, like Lexi Thompson, and others that are developing and coming into that stardom to ultimately want to come to Detroit to play in Rocket Mortgage Classic?
It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. I mean, there are 45 PGA Tour events on the schedule. Top players typically play anywhere to 20 to 25 of them, so they have a choice to make. And many of them, aren't going to choose to invest their time and effort into a new event like ours if they don't feel like they've got the confidence it's going to be around, right? They want to invest their time in getting to know this golf course. A lot of professionals go out, just like we would do if we were them, and find places they think they can win. Because that's a profession, that's what they need to do. And so knowing that those who've already invested their time have made a wise investment, sending a message to those that haven't yet, that they can make an investment, know it's going to pay off. They're going to have a platform here to build upon their knowledge and get to see this great city is just massive for us. And so it just gives us tons of stability and allows me and Casey Herbis from Rocket Mortgage and Bill Emerson, a number of others who go out with me in recruiting businesses, to go out and put that pitch together that allows them and tells them why they need to make Detroit, one of their 20 to 25 homes each year.
We're joined by Jason Langwell. He's the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic with us on the Megacast. Rocket Mortgage Classic, of course, first ran here in downtown Detroit in 2019 and recently had its sponsorship with Rocket Mortgage extended for a number of years going forward. And other changes that are coming up. Bryson DeChambeau, of course, has been a big star that's regularly been at this tournament. He's the number 7 ranked player in the world currently. And he mentioned the other day that there are some changes and some improvements that will be coming in the future at the Detroit Golf Club for the tournament. Are you able to disclose any of those at those time, and what can people expect in the future at the Detroit Golf Club?
Well, our focus is enhancing the experience for everyone. We want to create a Detroit experience for our players and our guests. So as it relates to the golf course, we've made some changes and alterations in partnership with our partners at Detroit Golf Club. It's a great golf course to begin with, and we've gone on a mission with them to make it even better. A big part of that, all the players on tour like a firm, fast golf course, so we've been working on drainage. We've extended and added some new tee boxes that have lengthened some areas and put a few bunkers in play that wouldn't have otherwise been in play. We're working with Detroit Golf Club and some players to talk about some other modifications that we can make in the future. And so we're currently doing those now. We've actually got a meeting out there tomorrow. We're going to be looking at some different areas to put hospitality, to improve kind of the routing for fans, because that's a big part of the fan experience, right? You've got all these hospitality structures out there. You got to know where to go, and you want a good experience to be able to flow from one hole to the other. And so we've really had 3 year ones, Tyler, if you think about it, at 3 very different years. And in a lot of ways, that's helped us as we head into next year, and hopefully it'll be a little bit our first year too, maybe, that we can take all the things that we've learned over the first year and make those applications for the benefit of the players and for the patrons that come out to enjoy the experience.
We're joined by Jason Langwell. He's the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic with us today on the Megacast. And you talk about some of those improvements that are oncoming. How much of the time spent during the pandemic working on this tournament was about innovations in the future? Because so many different organizations, especially in entertainment, many of which were shut down for safety reasons over the course of the pandemic, one of the few benefits of those shutdowns and of that time away from the action was that they were able to consider a number of different ways to bring new wrinkles into play, to garner more interest, to make things more fun, more entertaining for the audience, but also more engaging for those players.
Yeah, no, we've done a lot of that. Health and safety has been and remains a top priority for our event. COVID-19, caused us to think even harder than we already had about health and safety, get innovative, to your point, think about doing things differently. And we've done that. This last year, one of the things that we went to an open air hospitality structure instead of putting sides in the tents. And what we found not only was that it created a more safer environment, but the fans loved it because they were able to, because there were no walls in the sides of the tents, they're able to see across a number of different holes that they wouldn't have otherwise have seen. We went to a more, digital only ticket instead of a paper ticket. Again, driven initially out of safety. We heard a lot of feedback that was a more convenient, more desirable experience for our fans. So those are just a couple of examples of kind of COVID-caused innovations that we think will stay with us as we move forward, hopefully as we move to, more of a post-COVID environment.
We're joined by Jason Langwell. He is the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, joining us today on the Megacast, and it's been running for a few years now. Of course, the Rocket Mortgage Classic will continue to run for several years now into the future with the extension of its sponsorship with Rocket Mortgage and with the great partnership that you have with the Detroit Golf Club. So far, what has been that reaction from the golfers themselves? Because you have great stars like Ricky Fowler and Bryson DeChambeau and Lexi Thompson, who clearly are excited about playing golf in Detroit, love the environment, love what Rocket Mortgage, what your team has done in organizing this tournament. Widely speaking, is this growing as one of those tournaments that players are looking at and saying, this is something I'm marking on my calendar, I'm really excited about playing golf professionally in downtown Detroit?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is yes. The players kind of speak with their actions, right? And, to have Ricky here and Bryce, you look at the field that we've had over the last 3 years, it's been incredible. A far better field than we'd had when we were down in DC, frankly. To have Bryson DeChambeau, we had Dustin Johnson play, he was #1 in the world. We had, last year, Phil Mickelson come join us. So it's not like we've got just a group of 2 or 3 players that are coming here every year. We do have that. Patrick Reed and Bubba Watson have just, decided to make this a stop. Bubba Watson himself is not only appreciative of what's happening at the golf course, but he's investing his own dollars to support our Changing the Course initiative. And I think what that says is the players get that we're more than just a golf tournament. And they appreciate what happens inside of the ropes, but they understand that the reason that this event exists is for what happens outside of the ropes. And that's really our focus and our mission and our reason for being, and the players are getting behind that. And that's why I think you're seeing such great fields year in and year out.
We're joined by Jason Langwell. He is the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic with us on the Megacast, and the tournament will continue to be at the Detroit Golf Club through 2027. Great news in recent days and recent weeks about the Rocket Mortgage Classic as it continues to establish itself as a premier tournament in the PGA and in professional golf right here in the Detroit area. We're pleased to be joined by its executive director, Jason Langwell, with us on the Megacast. And you mentioned the Changing the Course initiative. Talk to us a little bit more about that and give us some more details on what that is, because it is now, it's got to be taking on a great benefit from having this tournament be secured in place through at least 2027. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic, shined a light on a number of unaddressed issues and underlying issues here in Detroit, and internet accessibility was by far the most severe. And too many Detroit residents are just caught in this digital divide, right? They don't have the opportunities for education, for employment, and belonging, that's afforded to them, the ability to get online. And so we launched our Changing the Course initiative in 2019 or early 2020 to help do just that. 20% of Detroit families have only cell phone, for internet access, and 30% of the families don't have access to the internet in their homes at all. And so we've taken the proceeds from this event and found a way, how can we impact this outcome? How can we end this digital divide, and have made it our sole focus and mission? We've since launched a Connecting Seniors program that's distributed 10,000 tablets and data plans to seniors in Detroit. We've launched 4 neighborhood technology hubs in partnership with Brilliant Detroit. Last year at Media Day, we launched our emergency broadband benefit campaign that's going to help connect people to a $50 internet subsidy a month, and we've helped to ensure that Detroit's among the top 3 cities to utilize that subsidy. So we've got over 20,000 families taking advantage of that so far, and we have a number of community ambassadors we've hired out there that are focused and housed within 7 community organizations to, kind of help expand the message and get the word out about what we're doing. And so tons of data collection efforts that are going on to have kind of a baseline established for where we need to go in terms of our digital inclusion spectrum and initiatives. And so tons of good that's been done, ton more that needs to be done, but we're really excited about our initiative and the impact that it's made thus far.
We're joined by Jason Langwell. He's the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic with us on the Megacast, and you talk about the charitable contributions being made by the Rocket Mortgage Classic. It's raised over $4 million for local charities, most of which have been earmarked inside the city of Detroit, and that does include the Changing the Course initiative as well, which is helping to, of course, bridge some of those digital divides and gaps in the Detroit area, especially during a pandemic where so much more of our lives have become virtual and have become operated on the web. And so great efforts being made not only to promote golf in the city of Detroit and in the local area, but also promote change and promote equity in our local communities as well. And Jason, you mentioned earlier that the company that you're employed by is Intersports, which helps with the marketing and the recruitment for the Rocket Mortgage Classic as well. So I want to give you an opportunity in our last few minutes of the show to talk a little bit about Intersports and what your company does, including the Rocket Mortgage Classic, but even beyond that as well.
No, thanks, Tyler. No, we're fortunate. I have the pleasure of leading our Detroit office here at Intersport. We're a Chicago-based company, sports media and marketing company. We're all about making bold moves, and we've done a number of that over the course of our career. As you mentioned, the team here leads the Rocket Mortgage Classic. We also have a team here that supports Rocket Mortgage and their sports marketing efforts, a team that helps to identify, evaluate, negotiate, and execute Rocket Mortgage's sponsorship portfolio. More broadly speaking, we're helping hundreds of brands connect with fans around the world, and we do that through our sports media properties. And we have a number of those. The College Slam Dunk and Three-Point Championship, the Under Armour High School American Football Game are just 2 of a number of sports, other sporting properties events that we own and operate and offer to brands. And then we help through our agency services group, a number of properties help connect with fans through their sponsorship activities. So Heineken and Dos Equis, Rocket Mortgage are just a few companies that we help through our Chicago and Detroit offices, and are excited to be working what's happening here in Detroit and working with Mark Hollis, who's over at Rocket Mortgage and the Sports Commission, as we look to bring other major sporting events to Detroit, and we Intersport are excited to be partnering with them to help create an impact through those events, much like we've done here through Rocket Mortgage and the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And so we're blessed to kind of have our to-do list be filled with kind of our bucket list, as we like to say, in sports properties. And we've got a great team here and are just excited to be a part of the Detroit community and working with Rocket Mortgage.
We're joined by Jason Langwell. He's the executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic with us on the Megacast. The Rocket Mortgage Classic, of course, having some great news over the last few weeks with their extended partnership with Rocket Mortgage for the next several years, and with the Detroit Golf Club, where this tournament will be played through at least 2027. And Jason, before we let you go, just talk about the Michigan golf community, because Michigan has such a rich availability of different golf courses and has such passion in its golfer base across the state. How important has that been in growing this Rocket Mortgage Classic? And then not only that, but utilizing the Rocket Mortgage Classic as another means to expand the love of golf across our state.
It's been absolutely huge. It's been huge. And as you said, there was a lot of pinned up demand with the gap that was created when the Buick Open left, the Flint area back in 2009. And so as we came back to build this event, we created the experiences we created. We did so with all the passionate golfers throughout the state of Michigan in mind. And they've responded. We can't thank them enough for their support. We obviously have great support from the Detroit community and suburban area here as it relates to our event, but we're pleasantly surprised and appreciative of all the support we're getting from fans of golf in Detroit and in Grand Rapids and in Lansing, and from around the entire state, Flint, from around the entire state. And so we've been fortunate to have great fans here. But as I like to say, they're not only fans of golf that are showing up here. There's a lot of folks that are fans of Detroit. And I think that's a beautiful thing about this event, is it's provided us a platform. That was really Dan Gilbert's vision, to shine a spotlight on this city to the world and make sure the world knows what we as Detroiters know, and that's Detroit is a great place to live and to work and to play. And the Rocket Mortgage Classic is the playful part, and our fans of golf here in Michigan love to come out and enjoy the experience, not only inside the ropes and outside the ropes, where we have the largest fan zone in the PGA Tour, where they can hang out and learn about the game and get a chance to experience the fun of the city and the beautiful historic Detroit Golf Club. And so we're very appreciative and fortunate to have the fan base that we have, not only here in Detroit, but around the state, and appreciative of the support they've shown us.
Yeah, we got a lot of great golfers that are becoming ambassadors for the state of Michigan and for golf in Michigan, and Michigan is continuing to be a great ambassador for the sport of golf as well. Jason, appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Tyler.
You can learn more about the Rocket Mortgage Classic by going to their website at rocketmortgageclassic.com. Appreciate Jason's time and for joining us today to talk about the Rocket Mortgage Classic that will continue to be here in downtown Detroit through at least 2027 at the Detroit Golf Club. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll go from golf to politics, and we'll talk election law with the former chair of the Michigan Democratic Party and the current election law attorney with the Goodman Acker law firm, Mark Brewer. He joins us next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith alongside our studio producer and board operator Calvin Brown here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, where we broadcast not only in the greater West Bloomfield area on Civic Center TV, but on a number of different television, radio, and web outlets in the Oakland County area and all throughout the state of Michigan on our website at civiccentertv.com and on My Michigan TV, streaming live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free at mymitv.com or mymytv.com. We're pleased to be joined now by Mark Brewer. He is an attorney at the Goodman Acker Law Firm and the former chair of the Michigan Democratic Party, joining us now on the Megacast to talk about election law and some proposed and discussed changes that may be up for discussion here in the near future. Mark, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So there's been a lot of discussion about fairness of elections, about equity in our elections from both sides of the aisle, both from the Republicans and the Democrats. It seems to be that the current status quo is that Democrats want to find more ways to provide easier access for people to be able to get to the polls and have their voices counted. And the Republicans seem to want to find more ways to put into place measures that require further identification, to take multiple steps for one person to identify themselves as being who they are in order to have their vote counted and still maybe even be questioned after that. At this moment in time, what is the most important question that voters should be asking of their political representatives at the state level and at the federal level in regards to what is being discussed in terms of our election fairness currently and in the future?
Well, boy, I think there's a lot of important issues that we could talk about when it comes to election. The one that I'm focused on currently is a proposal called the National Popular Vote. I don't know if your listeners know, but, we're great believers in democracy in this country for hundreds of years, right? Whoever gets the most votes wins the election. It's that simple. But actually, there's one office in this country where that does not apply, and that's the President of the United States. The president is not elected based on the total number of votes he or she gets nationwide. And that's something that on a bipartisan basis, former Republican Chair Saul Anuzis and I are looking to change through this proposal called the National Popular Vote. We need to change to a system, which I think is supported by the vast majority of voters out there, that whoever wins the most votes nationally becomes president. It's that simple. No recounts, no fights over hanging chads in Florida, no lawsuits. Whoever gets the most votes by campaigning in the entire country becomes president.
We're joined by Mark Brewer. He's an election law attorney with the Goodman Acker Law Firm, as well as the former chair of the Michigan Democratic Party, with us today on the Megacast. And for reference, the two most recent incidents in which a president was elected by the Electoral College despite not winning the popular vote were of course, in 2016 when Donald John Trump was elected president, and in 2000 following the Bush v. Gore case in which George Walker Bush was elected president over then former Vice President Al Gore at that time. And so in terms of a national popular vote and that sort of change, there seems to be two schools of thought, because on the one hand, the Electoral College was put in place in order to, theoretically, in order to prevent major cities and major population centers from being what ultimately decide elections. You don't want to have places like Chicago and Los Angeles, Detroit, Phoenix, Dallas, superseding places like Billings, Montana, and ultimately rendering their votes not ineligible, but irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. On the other hand, the Electoral College was also put in place because, to some belief, the Founding Fathers and those that put the Electoral College in place didn't believe that the American people were smart enough to make the right decisions. So, on the one hand, you want to make sure that you're counting everybody's votes as equally as possible and making sure that no one group of people, whether it be a city, whether it be a certain population, have their votes be heard in greater mass than others. But at the same time, you want to make sure that the person that the people are electing are the people that ultimately end up in those offices, especially an office as important as the president. So how do we work that balance into a national popular vote that could potentially take over the Electoral College?
Right. Well, first, several things. It's actually happened 5 times that we have had a president elected who is not the majority vote winner. So this is a serious problem, given that the country so strongly believes in one person, one vote, and majority rule. And what we're proposing respects what the founders did in 2 important regards. First, we do not abolish the Electoral College. The Electoral College remains in place. Secondly, the founders believed in federalism. They said we trust the states to decide how to allocate their electoral votes. And so the national popular vote is an agreement among the states, state by state, deciding that we're going to elect the president by a popular vote in the future. And so what Solonuzis and I are proposing is a ballot proposal on which the voters of Michigan would vote, straight up, yes or no. Do you want to elect the president by a national popular vote, or continue the current system, which has had these 5 major incidents where the majority didn't prevail? It's resulted in recounts and litigation and lawsuits and disputes. It's time to move beyond that and elect the president like we elect every other office in this country. The person who gets the most votes wins. So we believe this very much respects what the founders put in place, because it honors letting the states decide. And look, we have a much different set of electors, voters today than we did 2 centuries ago. Much better educated, believers in majority rule, believers in one person, one vote. And so it's time to make this important reform to the Electoral College.
We're joined by Mark Brewer. He is the former chairperson of the Michigan Democratic Party and is an election law attorney with the Goodman Acker law firm, joining us on the Megacast. And you mentioned, and something that caught my ear, was that the Electoral College, in the case of a national popular vote being mandated, that the Electoral College would still remain in place. How would that be so, and in what capacity, then, would the Electoral College be playing in our national elections?
Well, it would remain in place. The electoral votes of the states would go to the national popular vote winner. It's that simple. It would reinforce the idea, again, of majority rule, one person, one vote. You mentioned earlier this concern that somehow this is going to let cities outweigh the votes of suburbs and rural areas. No, cities in this country are not as big as the totality of the rural areas or even the suburban areas. And what this actually does is level the playing field. Right now, Wyoming, a voter in Wyoming has much more impact on who becomes president than any voter in Michigan. That's not fair. This levels the playing field. It says every voter, urban, suburban, rural, whoever they are, wherever they are, their vote is going to count exactly equal to everybody else's. And it then puts the burden on the candidates to go out and campaign in every corner of the country, which they don't do now. They focus on a handful of states. They ignore the vast majority of the country, whether it's rural, suburban, or city. This will say to them, now there's a premium on getting every vote you can find in every corner of the country. Go out and do that. I think it'll dramatically change our elections. It should increase turnout, participation, and interest, because we truly have a national campaign for president, not a campaign for president in just a handful of states.
So in that case, the Electoral College, and correct me if I'm wrong in this situation, the Electoral College, all of the state's electoral votes would then be allocated based on the winner of the popular vote in, for example, the presidential election in that state, would then each state have one electoral vote, or would that still be weighted based on the population of one state versus another?
Yeah, all the electoral college votes would remain weighted the same way they are.
Okay.
One per congressional district, two for the senators. So the number won't change, but they will be cast in favor of the national popular vote winner. And again, so what'll happen here is every vote in every state by every voter will get totaled up, and whoever gets the most votes, the electoral college will be instructed to vote for that person. Done. Majority wins every time. End of disputes, end of fights, end of lawsuits, and we have a true majority rule, majority election for president.
We're joined by Mark Brewer. He's an election law attorney at the Goodman Acker Law Firm and the former chairperson of the Michigan Democratic Party, with us on the Megacast. If you're just tuning in and want to hear all of this, a really interesting interview about the potential for a national popular vote and about the National Popular Vote campaign. You can view this interview on demand later on today at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link at the top of our homepage on your computer web browser, and by scrolling into the drop-down menu on the left side of your screen if you're viewing us on your browser on your mobile phone. And Mark, you mentioned multiple times that that part of the draw for this national popular vote campaign is that it would reduce the frequency we have of recounts and of disputes of one state versus another, and strategic disputes to try to delay elections like we saw happen in so many cases in 2020, particularly being from the Donald Trump campaign for re-election. But at the same time, if these recounts are if these votes are being counted specifically by a popular vote, if states are being determined specifically by a popular vote, wouldn't it then make each and every vote more important to campaigns and maybe open the door for more frequent recount efforts in certain counties to ensure that one candidate versus the other, especially in close elections, has actually lost by that narrow margin? Wouldn't that encourage that more?
I really don't think so, because I think what will happen here is that there will be a clear national winner, and that'll have to be taken into account. I mean, if a client comes to me and says, Mark, we lost by X votes, I want to do a recount, but we don't think we can make up X votes, I said, well, then you're wasting your time, right? So instead of, the entire country watching hanging chads in Florida, because it's come down to a few hundred votes in Florida, we will look at the big national picture. I think inevitably there will be a clear winner, as there has been throughout our American history in terms of the popular vote, and that will be the end of it. Sure, there still will be options, Tyler, for recounts and disputes, but again, it'll be very clear based on the national results who has been elected president.
We're joined by Mark Brewer. He's an election law attorney at the Goodman Acker Law Firm and is the former chairperson of the Michigan Democratic Party, with us on the Megacast today. And in opposition and in reaction to discussions on the National Popular Vote campaign, let me just find this out. Republican activist Tori Sachs had, from the executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund, responded, quote, "This is a terrible idea," and closed quote, and then continued on saying, quote, "This disastrous proposal would make issues voters care about irrelevant while centering political power and decision-making in the nation's biggest cities where liberal elites have assembled en masse," and closed quote. She had said that earlier in a news release. What's your reaction to that statement from Tori Sachs from the Freedom Fund?
Well, again, those are just talking points that aren't based in reality. The vast majority of voters don't live in cities. They live in suburbs. They live in rural areas. There are big Republican states like Florida and Texas. Everybody can point to an example. What she's invested in is the broken status quo. The status quo where a person who doesn't get a majority of the vote can be elected president. A status quo where we end up endless lawsuits, endless recounts, endless fights over who should be president. This is a much simpler, more democratic, with a small d, way to do this, and it's got bipartisan support. Solonuzis, former chair of the Michigan Republican Party. There are a lot of Republicans in Michigan that support this. There are Republican legislatures and Republican elected officials throughout the country who have said that this is the right thing to do. So, we started today, Tyler, talking about all the partisan discord. This is a great example of partisan agreement across the aisle. Democrats and Republicans like Solonuzis and me say it's time to make this important reform.
And just in reference, in the past 3 elections for each in which each party has won, the popular vote margin, 7 million people roughly for Joe Biden in 2020, 4.9 million, almost 5 million for Barack Obama in 2012, and almost 9.5 million for Barack Obama in 2008 for the Democrats. Republican side in the last 3 elections, Donald Trump in 2016 and his victory lost the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. In 2004, George W. Bush won re-election in the popular vote by over 3 million votes. And then, of course, the very controversial 2000 election, less than 1 million votes, actually less than 550,000 votes in the popular vote was the margin in that election. Mark, just a few more minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. If people want to learn more information about this campaign, or they want to ask questions about how it could affect their state here in Michigan or other places in the U.S. where this is being campaigned for, where can they find more information? Who should they be speaking to get some of those questions answered and have some of these debates?
So we are just getting rolling with the campaign. We just filed our petition last week with the state, getting it approved as to form before we can start circulating. But if folks want to go online, this is a national movement called National Popular Vote. It's been adopted in 15 states and the District of Columbia. So they can go to the National Popular Vote website and find a lot of great material there. And again, it's been a long-term effort. It was adopted in Colorado just 2 years ago. So there's plenty of information online. And as the Michigan campaign develops, we'll be putting out materials here or have a website and so forth where people can come and explore this, and we hope support it and sign our petitions.
So, Mark, before I let you go, it's really interesting. You've mentioned Saul Anuzis throughout this interview in your campaign and his campaign joined together for the National Popular Vote Initiative here in the state of Michigan. You're, of course, former chairperson of the Democratic Party here in the state of Michigan. Saul Anuzis is, of course, a Democrat. So you're political rivals in that sense. How did the two of you come together in this campaign here in the state of Michigan on this issue?
Well, look, Saul and I have been longtime rivals, opposed each other many, many times over the years, but I've always admired his political skill, and I'm always looking for an opportunity. It'd be great to work together on something, and we found something, the National Popular Vote Reform Movement, on which we agree, and we think it should be adopted on a bipartisan basis, so it's really been a great pleasure working with Saul, who I told you I respect greatly, on something that we can agree on, because we disagree on about 95% of everything else. But again, it's a great bipartisan reform, sorely needed in this era of such partisan rancor and disagreement. And we hope people will unite behind it, and we can move the country forward on this important reform.
Well, Mark, we appreciate your time, appreciate your insight, and giving us some information, at least initially, on the National Popular Vote Initiative here in the state of Michigan.
Thank you very much for having me, Tyler. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you as well. Of course, we encourage all you that are tuning in and hearing about this issue to ask those questions, to get your questions answered, and to look into it. Look into these kinds of ideas and consider all the options for and against these kinds of topics, and ultimately make your decision as best informed as possible and based on what you believe is the right thing for your community, for your state, and for the nation as well. And we appreciate the insight from Mark as he brings up this interesting proposal here in the state of Michigan. And of course, we'll certainly be hearing a lot more about this in the coming days, coming weeks, coming months, and coming years, as our elections will always be a hot topic of debate, not only in Michigan, but across the U.S. as well. You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. You can learn more about all the places that we broadcast the Megacast and all of their additional regular programming, in addition to us here on the Megacast live Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on our website at civiccentertv.com/Megacast. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll kick off the second half of today's show with Paula Swain from the Financial Center for Women of Southfield. She will join us next to talk about financial planning for people that may be going through a divorce or maybe recently widowed, as well for the general population as well, what you should be thinking about as we go through this pandemic and continue through this crisis and into the future, and how you can best prepare yourself to set yourself up best for retirement and for your financial future. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Pleased to kick off this part of the show by speaking to Paula Swain. She is a certified financial planner with the Financial Center for Women located in Southfield. She joins us now on the Megacast. Paula, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us. So you're a certified financial planner, and you have extensive training and experience with helping people plan for their financial future, but you also specialize in helping women plan for their financial future, particularly women who are recently divorced or recently widowed. How do those two situations play into financial planning differently from general financial planning, particularly for women?
Well, it's kind of different for women because we tend to maybe be out of the workforce, especially if we were married and had children. You know, we might be out of the workforce raising our kids for a while, or taking care of a parent if they happen to become ill. And it's sad to say, but sometimes women make less. We hope that eventually will change than what a male will make. I mean, so we have some things that we need to overcome. And then to throw in being widowed or divorced on top of that can be very stressful.
We're joined by Paula Swain. She is a certified financial planner and is with the Financial Center for Women located in Southfield. And so you mentioned women leaving the workforce in many situations for familial reasons or otherwise. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen that the numbers are there to show that women in mass have left the workforce during the pandemic to help, in many cases, take care of their families or other obligations that they couldn't take care of because of the constraints of work and the constraints of life during the pandemic. How has that changed your discussions with your clients and with women that you're consulting with, and what they need to do to continue their financial planning while they're not in the workforce and while other constraints are in place where there's no foreseeable end to those variables?
It's a tough discussion. There's, it's funny, my mom asked me the same thing. She was watching something I did the other day, and she goes, well, what if you get a divorce and you don't have employment? I guess, you're going to have to go find employment. I mean, we know everywhere that people are struggling to hire people. So it may be, depending on getting your family to watch your kids so that you can, go work at a restaurant in the evenings, or if you're married, maybe your husband is still working. I mean, it's really difficult to get through this COVID period for most people, but there are options out there if you just, maybe have to step outside of the box a little bit and change careers, or, take something down just to get you through until you can get back on your feet.
We're joined by Paula Swain. She's a certified financial planner and is with the Financial Center for Women in Southfield. And as difficult as it might be to even consider a situation like this or these kinds of situations, should women be financially planning for situations where there is a potential that they could get divorced in the future, or there is a potential that a tragedy could happen in their family and all of a sudden they are widowed and have to continue to build their financial future, prepare themselves for retirement, take care of their family, and so on without their spouse. Should they be planning for those kinds of disaster situations, even if it's just preliminary plans or just in case, this is where the first steps that I would take?
Sure. It doesn't necessarily go just for women. Everybody should be planning, because that can happen to men just as well as women. So what we want to do is to make sure that we have 3 to 6 months of income to cover your expenses if you were to lose your employment. I also kind of take that a little step further and say, if you're in a position that would take you probably a year maybe to find a replacement job at your same income, then maybe you need to have an emergency account that lasts you for a year. The more cash that you can have on hand to protect yourself in these situations. And, if you're looking at divorce, there's really no way to prepare for divorce. I mean, when it just kind of happens. I know it just kind of happened for me a few years ago. So I just know that it's usually an unexpected thing. And so is becoming a widow. But there are some things that you can have in place. Like when we run financial plans, we run, for couples, we run them as if the spouse was going to die tomorrow. And how does that look? Are you going to have enough money? Are you going to be okay? And if you're not, then how do we prepare you for when that does happen? And you can do the same thing, okay, you're going to lose your job tomorrow. Let's see what that looks like. The key to all of this is just sitting down and talking to someone and having a plan in place. If you don't have a plan, then you're going to wake up and something like it's going to happen and you're just going to be scrambling because you don't know what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And so following up with that, where should people start? Obviously, you said sitting down with an expert, with someone like yourself, a certified financial planner, is a great first step. But even beyond that, before you're going to a financial planner or after your initial meeting with a financial planner, what are those first steps that people should take to begin to make that plan for their financial future and take into account these worst-case scenario, disaster scenarios?
Well, the key to starting any type of plan is knowing where your money is. Like, it's the worst case scenario to be in is living paycheck to paycheck. So you got to kind of figure out a way to not live paycheck to paycheck. And I know that's difficult. It's difficult for a lot of people to overcome that. But, I was talking to someone yesterday, I'm like, even if you can start by putting away $10 a week, and before you know that, that's all going to add up. Then you add in compounding and so those things. So you got to know where your money is first and foremost. And it could be something as like paper and pen. Sit down, write down where your expenses are, write down what your income is. And hopefully you have some discretionary income that you can do some savings and stuff with. And if you have more going out than you have coming in, then you really got to take a serious look at where you're at. Because if you do end up in a tragedy like a divorce or being widowed, you have to know that you're going to be okay and that you have enough income coming in versus what's going out. It seems so simple, but it seems to be difficult for most people to live on a budget. And then one thing that people won't do is talk about money. They're embarrassed. Nobody wants to admit that they think that they haven't saved enough, or they haven't done the right things, or they haven't put it in the right investments, and they're afraid. They're afraid that they're going to come and talk to me or even their family members or friends, and they're going to be embarrassed that, Joe might have saved $1 million for his retirement, and I've only got $250. And so I don't want to talk about it because I'm embarrassed. But if you can get over that embarrassment and talk to somebody and get yourself a plan, then you can make a decision on how to go forward with your life.
And everybody's situation is going to be different. One person working one job is going to be different than someone else that's working several jobs or has experienced job loss during the pandemic or some other financial hit, whether it be a significant medical expense or this, that, or the other, something with their home as a result of the storms. Everybody's financial situation is going to be different. Everybody's financial planning process and ultimately the plan that they put in place is also going to be different because we're all living very different lives. But there are those basic steps that people can take. There are those basic considerations. You typically discuss the ABCs, as you call it, of preparing for retirement. What are those ABCs and what should people be focusing on?
Well, I think you're referencing an article, and I'm trying to go back into my head to remember what that article talked about. But Just off the top of my head, I would say that, again, live on a budget. Number 2, save in your retirement account, preferably if you can, into a Roth and then your 401k. Make sure you max out your 401k to at least your employer's match. Some people give free money away by not even putting enough in so that they're to the match of their employer. So you want to make sure that you do that. You want to sit down every year and look at where you are and what your goal is, and are you on track? If you're not, how do you tweak it? Do we need to make changes? But I want to go back to one thing that you said, because I did say that somebody saved $1 million and someone had $250,000. I have clients that have retired on $250,000 and lived a very great life. And then I have clients that have retired on $1 million and lived a very good life. And then somewhere in between. So everybody's situation is different, but you need to know what those numbers are. You need to sit down and figure out what you need to survive.
Yeah, and we're not all financial planners. We're not all experts in these fields. There are experts like yourself and others that people can go to and regularly do go to for this kind of consultation. But like you said, it's going to be different for everybody. If someone's retiring on $250,000 in savings, that can be attainable for one person versus another, or for really anybody if they're planning correctly and they have a budget in place that makes their lifestyle fit into a financial plan of that kind. So that brings me to a topic that is hotly debated and talked about a lot in terms of educating younger people, whether it be at school-age children or just young adults that are beginning their independent lives. What should parents be doing and families be doing to help teach their children or fill in the gaps with their children that are not taken care of by the school systems in terms of learning to put together a rock solid budget or a proper budget for whatever lifestyle they are living, and to begin financial planning as early as possible? Because like you said, the earlier that you basically said, the earlier that you do begin these plans, the more effective they may be down the line as you compound more and more of those savings over the course of time.
Well, if you give your kid an allowance, so you maybe he wants to save for, a Nintendo. I'm not even sure what those things are. Nintendo, whatever the new Nintendo is.
Sure.
So they do chores around the house and they get an allowance. So you teach them how to save a portion, put 10% in your savings for your Nintendo or whatever it is that you need, and teach them how money works. I wish they would teach it in high school. I mean, I think that's a great place. And even starting as much as even maybe at a 7-10-year-old, just what is money? Most people don't understand money. They don't know what a CD is. They don't even know what a bank or a checking account is at that age. And open those accounts for your kids. And then as they start to work, when they start having, W-2 to income, get them to maybe contribute to a portion to a Roth IRA. If you start contributing young based on compounding, you could have a ton of money at retirement, and then it's, again, talk to your kids. There's an app I just seen on TV, and I wish I could think of the name of it. But it's like a savings app, and I can see it, but I can't think of the name of it. I wish I knew, but I've been seeing the commercials on it on TV, but it's talking about how to teach your kids about money. And then there's a lot of programs out there, especially in April. There's always Money Week, and so there's programs that you can go and take your kids to learn about money. So there are options, but if you don't understand money yourself, then it's really hard to teach somebody else about it.
And there's so many resources to learn the ins and outs of financial planning, about managing your money, whether it be consulting with an expert or consulting with other free resources, and of course doing additional research and asking additional questions to people that are in the know, so that you can check that information that you're receiving from places like a YouTube tutorial or articles that you're reading on a number of different pages today. We're joined by Paula Swain, a certified financial planner, and she's also with the Financial Center for Women in Southfield. And Paula, how does the pandemic play into financial planning and investment goals? Because certainly on one hand, people that have made the right investments pre-pandemic and have moved their money around properly or luckily during the pandemic may have been doing fine, but in other cases that volatility is there that can make people a lot more hesitant to move their money or to invest here and there, not knowing what's going on in the future and when we'll be out of this. But also there's a lot of new financial constraints that have come into play as people's lives have been changed and put on edge by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, investment-wise, the market's done really well over the last few years. So hopefully when the pandemic did hit in March of 2020 that you didn't pull out of the market, that you hung in there because you were rewarded for staying in. You don't want to make emotional decisions when it comes to the market. You want to make logical decisions, and sometimes that's difficult because you're like, oh my God, my life savings is, I see it dropping 30%. But just know that, historically, being politically correct there, historically it does come back. But I always look at it, if you're afraid to lose money, then it shouldn't be in the market. If you need it today, it shouldn't be in the market. If you've lost your job or you're lost income due to the pandemic's been an opportunity to kind of waken up to see where your money's going to kind of get a grip. So I know that I kind of look at my things a little bit different personally because we've gone through the pandemic and, looked at my savings goals. And sometimes I had to cut back a little bit on savings so that I could get through a period of time while the pandemic was going on. And you might have to do that, but you can regroup down the road. But again, it really just goes on understanding where your money is and having a plan of action. So like I use the software where my clients, we put all their assets into the software, we put their goals in there. And on a daily basis, it gives you an idea if you're on track, not on track, how the pandemic would have affected you at that moment. And then, when it recouped, how you were back on track. I mean, it's kind of just having some ideas. And there's free software out there. Don't ask me to name any because I don't know any, but there are free software out there that you can use. But, just having conversations with people and being open to have that discussion about money will help out a lot. I mean, I remember sitting in my driveway when the pandemic was going on with our neighbors, and we were all talking about money because the stimulus was coming in and who got it, who didn't get it, what were you going to do with it, did you appreciate it or not appreciate it? So we started to open up those conversations, and then you start to learn yourself, and then maybe you can educate others.
We're joined by Paula Swain. She's a certified financial planner and is also with the Financial Center for Women, which is located out of Southfield, joining us today on the Megacast. And in terms of re-evaluating your financial situation or doing an overview of your assets, how often should people be re-evaluating that financial situation? Because on one hand, it's easy to say, well, I'll reevaluate it every few months, or it's easy to say, well, I'll reevaluate it when I need to reevaluate, but by then it can be too late. So when do you suggest in terms of when people should be going through that overview, making changes as needed, making adjustments as needed? How often should that happen?
At least once a year. And then definitely if you're going through a major event, which could be the birth of a child, marriage, divorce, widowed, but at least once a year. And the best time I think to do that is why not do it on your birthday? At least you'll remember to do it, and then take a look at where you're at and see if things need to be adjusted.
Yeah, people are always making goals at the beginning of a new year, a new calendar year, making goals on their birthday. It's a common time to set those goals, and why not set some financial goals as well? Correct. We're joined by Paula Swain, certified financial planner, and she's also with the Financial Center for Women located in Southfield. Paula, just another minute or two with you today before we'll say goodbye. Any other lasting advice at this point in time for people as they're planning their financial future, as they're navigating their money during this pandemic, or any other important information that we should know today?
I think, and it's difficult, but when you're going through a lot of what we've gone through the pandemic has been a lot emotionally. But when you think about your money, you have to think logically and not emotionally, and not make rash decisions. And if it comes to a point where you need a decision and you're not sure what to do, reach out to someone that you feel you feel that you can get, good advice from it. It could be a friend or a parent or a professional like myself. Just do those things. There are people out there to help you. Just reach out for help and just don't be embarrassed. Everybody's made mistakes. I'm sure I've made plenty of them. But when you ask for help, you can sometimes have a better outcome.
And it's always good to consult with experts and things that you're not entirely certain about, or you haven't done your own research and been able to feel comfortable about asking people questions and learning in process. You learn by doing, and this is certainly one of those things. Paula, we appreciate your time. Thank you for your insight and answering what I'm sure a lot of people's questions about their financial future, especially now during these uncertain financial times due to the ongoing and continuing to be ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Tyler.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and then they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Calvin Brown, our studio producer here in West Bloomfield, where we broadcast live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon every day during the work week, Monday through Friday on Civic Center TV, on 89.3 Lakes FM, and on other television and radio stations throughout southeastern Michigan and all over the state on My Michigan TV. Learn more about all of our partnering television, radio, and web outlets by going to our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast. And if you're not motivated to go to our website, if you're not motivated to do much of anything, we have a very lucky moment here for you, because we're pleased to be joined by motivational strategy speaker and mindset life coach Stacie Rene to help you get motivated. So you can go to our website and view all this information on our partnering website and get your week started off right. Stacie, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, good morning. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. How are you doing? How are things going with you, Stacie?
You know what? We have ups and downs, and I'm not going to say it's all perfect. And like I like to say, sunshine and roses and maybe a couple butterflies, but we do have some rainstorms that sometimes come over, and you just have to know how to get out of them and work through it and break through so you see some sunshine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, we're all looking forward to some sunshine right now with the start to the week we were having on the weather side of things. But even myself, I've been dragging all weekend long. I'd been low energy, just unmotivated, not really doing much of anything. And when I finally caught up to just being behind the 8 ball a little bit, I kind of got down on myself a little bit, and I was just feeling really behind and feeling like I was wasting time and wasting energy and just not doing things the way I wanted to do them. And even this morning, kind of dragging along after I woke up early and was trying to get motivated to go out and go to the gym before I come into work and get some things done in the morning. And finally, it was just kind of forcing myself out the door and getting there. That really changed that mindset. It's getting into that process. How important is it for people to just, at some points, to just kind of force themselves into that situation where they're doing what they need to be doing, where they're in a position that they're trying to motivate themselves into, just to get that experience rolling, and then they're able to see their capability from there?
Well, it's good to have a habit, and it's also great to relax and take some time for yourself, as I understand you did for this weekend. But when you do that, in the same sense, you feel like you missed out, that you didn't do enough, and that's just because of the own pressure that you put on yourself, which is never healthy. And it's okay to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I fell asleep on the couch this weekend when I went to see my dad, and it was great. And I thought, well, when's the last time I've actually been able to do that? It's been a long time. Did I regret it? Nope. All I did is I got up the next morning and just made happen what needed to happen. And, while you may have felt a little sluggish is because you're so used to being on the go and having to do so many things. But it's nice to stand back and be in the moment instead of the go process, because your body and your mind, they do need a rest. So take that time for yourself and own it. Enjoy it. Don't feel guilty about it, because you're living to other people's expectations and not your own, because they're used to seeing you go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it does make sense, and it's like it's the change in mindset that comes with kind of checking that box eventually. You don't get it. Maybe you don't get to it in the moment that you're seeking to get to it, or in the time period you're seeking to get to it. Maybe you want to do something today and you end up pushing it off to tomorrow, and you're not happy about the fact that you did that, but then you get it done and you still have that sense of accomplishment. How important is it to just have that positive mindset going into things and kind of roll with changes in life and missed opportunities or missed check boxes in life, and just continue on to keep your mind positive and keep a positive outlook?
Right. And who's to say you missed the box that you needed to check, right? Sure. And it's all in your mindset, and thoughts do become things, because if you don't have your thoughts that become things, whatever your situation that you're living in right now are the thoughts that became your reality. And it's really hard to hear, especially when you're going through a rough patch. It's hard to own up to that, but those are your thoughts, and those are what you're producing and you're creating in your own life. And that's why I say life is a roller coaster. It's ups and downs, and the times that you're able to get out are the times that you're able to have a fresh outlook on life and say, you know what, I am not living that anymore. And what you do is, when you sit and you wake up every morning, and like I say, people grab their phones. I mean, they grab their phones. What do I need on social media? What do I need to look at? What did I miss out on? And then you've lost yourself. Because one, what emails do you need to go through? What social media things? You're catching up. Oh man, I missed out on that. You know what? You're going to miss out on a lot of things in life, but you make that decision, and that's okay. And when you wake up and you grab your phone, that's a big no-no, as I like to say. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should do is not grab your phone, go out to the kitchen, or brush your teeth, or do your morning tiny little 1-minute routine. And then write down 3 things that you're going to be grateful for today before you even pick up your phone, before you do anything. What are 3 goals that you're going to have for the day? Because that sets the tone for you moving forward. And that's really important, because a lot of times you wake up and you're feeling gloomy, and then you pick up your phone and you see everything else that everybody's doing when you're already feeling like crap. It just adds more to it, and you don't want to feel that way. And the thoughts that you have are going to be the highlights of your day. So write 3 goals down, write 3 things that you appreciate, and that's really not a hard thing to do. And you're setting the tone, you're setting for a great day. So no matter what, even if it's just making your bed and you come home and you get to come in after a really hard day, you see that you made your bed. You accomplished something. So you just have to have those little steps, those little things. And also, if you're feeling funky and you're kind of repeating the process, it's because you're trying to find what makes you happy. Are you making yourself happy for everybody else and losing who you are? Are you, oh yeah, you know what, I'm going to go to that event out of obligation? Or are you going because you want to go? Are you going through jobs because you're, oh, wow, getting a new job will make me feel so much better, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a new job, and then you're in the job, and then you find that you're in the same situation where you're not happy? It's because you're settling for less than what you want, and you're not finding your happiness. So you need to get up, start new habits, create new thought processes, and there's always a way to cancel, clear, delete them out. And I know I've been on here before and I say it, but it is so important to remind ourselves, and even positive people like me need that reminder. I had a really rough morning this morning, and I'm like, gosh, what is my blood pressure on? Because I feel like, getting up, doing the routines, taking the kids to school, and then if they're having a rough day, especially on a Monday, it really stresses me out because I want them to be their best. And when they're not, I see their pain and it's hard, but I have to remember this is something that they have to go through. And it's my responsibility to teach them how to change their mindset and how to get on and have a great day. So really wake up in the morning. And I know I didn't mean to be all over the board, and I kind of just threw a lot out there, but it's so true in how we think, how we feel, what our thoughts are. And I love saying thoughts are reality. And focus on what you want and not what you don't want. And that's a huge thing for all of us.
And I think with just the way that we live life today, being that everyone is kind of moving at 1 billion miles an hour, being pulled in every single direction, in every area of our life, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that it becomes really easy for people to also dwell on what they missed or what they didn't accomplish instead of focusing on what they did accomplish. And one thing that I find to be really helpful is, and if you're at the end of a really frustrating day or a day that seems really slow or that you didn't really get much done, think about what you did do. And kind of make a list of that, and then all of a sudden you have, instead of a list of things in your head that you didn't do, all of a sudden you have a list of all these things that you did accomplish, and it may be 5 or 6 items on the list versus the 10 or 20 that you're thinking of. But those are 5 things that you got done that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten done if you were just sitting there dwelling on things. And for people, it becomes really easy as things are moving through life, and of course with social media and with fear of missing out, it becomes really easy to get stuck looking back instead of looking forward and trying to refocus on what you can do instead of what you didn't do.
Right. And I think we forget a lot that it's the little things that you need to be proud of, because there's a lot of people that would love to be able to go out and wake up in the morning and just jump out of bed. Some people, it takes them 15 minutes to be able to get your leg over, to be able to sit there and get up. And it takes them a lot of time. Some people just can't get up and walk to the restroom. They can't get up. It's a real struggle. So we need to appreciate what we have now in our life, because so many other people would love to have the vision that you have, would love to have the foresight that you would have, would love to have the energy that you have, or just to get up and go. So sometimes it's about self-identity, satisfying yourself, and appreciating what you have in the now. And stop always trying to please everybody else. And that's the thing is the person who is at work, or the person who is the yes me, usually gets crapped on the most, because they take pride in what they do, and then they lose their self-identity because they're too busy doing everything for everybody else. And so you don't want to ever lose. The word no is such an amazing word, and you might feel, if you don't use it often, you're going to feel a little uncomfortable using it at first, but then the more you do it, the more it's satisfying. You're like, you know what? No. And you don't have to give an explanation. Instead of being that person, the dark person, like, here, let's just give it to Stacie. She can do everything. And I used to be that person until I started saying, unfortunately, I won't be able to do that, but thanks for thinking of me. Well, why? Why can't you do this? Well, I'm just not available. And you don't have to give a reason and an answer. And was I thought of as, what's wrong with her? She can't hold. Yeah, that happened a lot. But then after I started saying, oh, I'm not available, I'm not able to do that, then they appreciated the things that I was doing more so, instead of being the go-to person. So respect yourself. Learn the word no. It is really good. And, you know, a really important thing, too, is that I want to put out there as far as your thoughts become things is we are, as children, it is programmed in our head to do everything, to be perfect and not make a mistake. You know, when you're at school, nope, that's not the right answer. That's not how we do things. And, you know, it makes children start to feel not so good about themselves. And what are we doing as they grow up as to adults? As we are, I mean, yes, there has to be guidelines. There has to be the difference between learning to right and wrong. But do you realize how many times they have to hear the word no in a day, and what that does to their self-esteem and the thoughts that they create as children? And I'm seeing this in elementary school a lot, middle school, and then in high school, yes, ma'am, here it is. And they have to learn to be respectful, but in the same sense, we also have to let them appreciate who they are. And as adults, it's the same thing. We are creating who we are every day, and you have to refresh yourself. You have to learn to say, I'm available, I'm not available, and be your own happiness. Right?
Yeah. We're joined by Stacie Rene, motivational strategy speaker and mindset life coach. Learn more about everything that Stacie does and how she can help you become more motivated and refocus your life toward a more positive mindset by going to our website at stacierene.com and also searching on the App Store for the Stacie Rene app as well. Stacie, just a few more minutes with you here today before we'll say goodbye. Any lasting thoughts for people as they're heading into another work week, as we're getting into the thick of the fall season and heading toward winter where the weather's starting to turn, and it's really easy for people to start to take on a gloomier mindset. Any lasting words of advice as we're heading forward into this week and into the future about how people can refocus and reshift their mind to be more positive?
I do. I'd like for you to really remember how you wake up in the morning and set goals and start your thought process in a positive direction, you know, because positive thoughts, positive outcomes. Negative thoughts, negative outcomes. And you have to make a choice of what you want. Set goals for the day, even if it's just 3. And when you go to bed at night, sit there and think about your day, but not about all the things that you didn't do. Think about all the things that you did do and the exciting things that you're going to do the next day. Also, take time for yourself. You have to do that, and it's okay. And respect yourself, because if you don't, who else is going to? And then I have something else really, really exciting that I want to throw out, which just came. The book is being uploaded to Amazon. And for those children, which I touched on a little bit, is letting them make right decisions, and you teaching them. Is I do have a new book coming out. It's called I Have a Choice. And it is making right decisions and being a good leader, not a follower, because we all need to understand what that means. And what the book does is it's learning to be a good leader and not a follower. Children have the choice that they can stand up for what they know is right, because that's what we're trying to teach them. And the book, I Have a Choice, has 2 powerful examples on making the right choices. At the end of the day, believing in yourself and not letting your friends sway you. having a voice, you'll feel better about yourself, and that we have to show the children that it is okay to stand up and tastefully make the right choices, make the right decisions. So that will be launched, and I'd love to tell you more about it on maybe another episode, and also have our audience and our community be a part of the launch party.
Absolutely, and of course, if you are interested in her upcoming book and of course all of her other content and other availabilities for classes and for life coaching and more, you can find all that information on her website at StacieRene.com. Stacie, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
You as well. Appreciate it. Again, StacieRene.com for more information. We're pleased to have been joined by Stacie Rene, a motivational strategy speaker and mindset life coach. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we'll talk with one of our great local restaurants here in the local area out in Berkeley, the Culinary Combo Bakery. Jody Polk and Jessica Barris join us next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We're pleased to be joined to kick off today's show by Jody Polk and Jessica Barris. They are the co-owners of Culinary Combo Bakery in Southfield with us today on the Megacast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So this is a new bakery. It's opening on October 2nd, which is Saturday at 11 o'clock. Tell us a little bit about Culinary Combo Bakery. What can people expect when they go to the ribbon cutting this weekend and as they provide their patronage to the restaurant going forward?
Actually, it's our 1-year anniversary, so we've been open for a year. Yeah, but we couldn't have a ribbon cutting last year because of COVID, so we're having it this year. And we're going to have some raffles where you can get some items like our baseball hats or an oven mitt with our logo on it, even an in-store gift card. The mayor from Southfield will be there, and it's just going to be a fun day.
So what was it like opening this bakery at the beginning of the pandemic? Because obviously your business is still alive. You've done something right over the last year, but it couldn't have been an easy start.
No, it's a miracle. Actually, I've had the business for 30 years, but this is our first storefront. So we did have an established following, but we were very fortunate because where we're located, we have our own entrance, we have very easy curbside, and we've always offered delivery. So I think that made a big difference during the height of the pandemic because people were looking for those options and we could offer them. Unfortunately, it definitely saw the people eating in the bakery or coming in for coffee and sitting down for a while, that suffered. We couldn't have that. So that component was a problem. But other than that, we really did okay. People were looking for a distraction. They were looking. Our logo is happiness starts here, and that's what people were looking for: happy times and happy things, and just a release from the aggravation and all that was going on. So I think that really made a difference for us.
And what inspired the two of you to open this bakery?
Great question. Well, it's kind of a long story. My husband was a chef, and we both, I did the pastries, he did savory food. He worked in a restaurant for 25 years, and we did catering. but we never had our own place. I used the kitchen where he was the chef, and we were happy, and that was our life. And then, unfortunately, 3 years ago, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and passed away suddenly. And I didn't know if I'd ever bake again. I didn't think I'd ever bake again because we were the culinary combo. And I went to work in an office for a while and was miserable. And then I was fortunate enough, some family members came to me and said, you know, you're unhappy. You need to be baking. You can't give this up. And they helped establish the location and everything. And then my daughter, Jessica, came to me. She's a product photographer by training from college. And she was working, and she said, you know, I don't want the family business to go away. I want to be your partner. And it's kind of crazy here, but here we are.
We're joined by Jody Polk and Jessica Barris. They are the co-owners of Culinary Combo Bakery in Southfield. They have their official ribbon cutting ceremony this weekend, an event this weekend, October 2nd at 11 o'clock. They've been open for a year, but this ribbon cutting is happening this weekend because of obvious reasons. We've been in a pandemic for a year. If you're just returning to us now, sorry you're returning to us at this moment in time, but we're still in the middle of this. But we can have an event like this and still get together and celebrate a new local business. So what can people expect this weekend at your ribbon cutting event?
We're going to offer some of our classics and our favorites. We'll have an all-time, well, actually not all-time, it's pretty much a new favorite, but our hot mess brownie is very, very popular, and we have a ton of people asking for it. So we're going to bring some of our most popular pastries, and like I said before, we'll have some raffle items, and the mayor will be here, and we'll just... We also have some giveaways. Yeah. Some pens and Post-it notes with our logo on it, and some cookies and things like that. Everything's packaged so that, you know, we're following safety. Safety's number one, and mostly everything will be outside. We'll be doing everything outside.
We're joined by Jody Polk and Jessica Barris. They are the co-owners of Culinary Combo Culinary Combo Bakery. Joining us on the show, they're located in Southfield, 29260 Franklin Road, number 126, Southfield, Michigan, in the Claymore Complex. Their regular hours, Tuesday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., and Saturday, 7:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. They are available for delivery options Sunday and Monday as well. 24-hour notice is required for all deliveries. So on top of running the regular bakery, you also provide some catering services as well. I see here
yes.
for parties and such. Tell us a little bit about that and what you do provide for such events.
So we do sweet tables, and we're actually going to be at the Star Treks event show on October 10th, and you can come to our booth there and learn a little bit more about our catering menu and prices and things like that. But we've done weddings, bridal showers, graduation parties, bar mitzvahs, baby namings. We've kind of done all of it, and we offer a range of desserts for people to choose from. You can choose your favorites, and actually our customers have really played a big part in that. They have pushed us to do things that we never thought we would do. They see something they like someplace else or on Pinterest or something like that, and they definitely challenge us to come up with a similar product, and that's what we've been able to do to service them.
We're joined by Jody Polk and Jessica Barris. They are the co-owners of the Culinary Combo Bakery in Southfield. Join them this weekend, October 2nd at 11 o'clock for their official ribbon cutting. It's their anniversary month, October 1st, with a ribbon cutting that will happen on October 2nd. The mayor will be there. There'll be giveaways as well. What sort of giveaways will be up for grabs at the ribbon cutting?
We're going to have some mini chocolate dip pretzels and some of our sugar cookies that our customers love the most. We got some cute pens made and oven mitts and Post-it notes and stuff like that.
All right, I'm going to put the pressure on a little bit.
Oh, no.
What is your favorite? And I got a couple of questions that are just going to kind of compress the pressure right away.
All right.
Both of you? Let's start with you, Jody. What is your favorite thing to bake? And then we'll go to Jessica.
Everybody always asks that. You know, it's kind of for me, because I've been doing it so long. it's like asking which is my favorite child. So obviously I have to say Jessica because my son Justin's not here. But I enjoy, honestly, when somebody's happy with the product, or they'll come in and they'll say, oh my gosh, that baked donut or that scone was so amazing. That at that time, that's my favorite thing to bake. So I definitely enjoy making cakes and different, I like to do things. I don't like to do the same thing over and over again. So we're always trying new recipes and new cookie flavors, new donut flavors, that type of thing. So it's really there's not really one specific thing that I love to bake. I just like to make my customers happy.
All right, and what about you, Jessica? What's your favorite thing to bake?
My favorite thing, I'm trying to think what my favorite thing to make at the moment is, because I haven't been doing this quite as long. I think right now I really like making our arugula, because we have so many different flavors and people absolutely love it. And I like making the different fillings for it and things like that. And I like sampling them too.
All right, so now we got the second question, the second part, the final little bit of pressure. What is your of all the products that you make, of all the baked goods that you make there, what is your favorite to eat?
All right, I'll go first because mine's always the same. Mine is our chocolate brownie. I personally am not a chocolate person. You can ask my husband, he will attest to that. And I love our brownie. It is the perfect combination of fudgy and decadent and deliciousness that if you come here and you buy one thing, you have to get the brownie. That if you ask me personally.
Okay, what about you, Jody?
So right now, we came up with something called that cinnamon thing.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
And it's not pretty. It's nothing to look at, but the flavor is great. And I probably like it because the filling reminds me of the inside of a cinnamon Pop-Tart. And I used to love cinnamon Pop-Tarts when I was a kid. So it's sweet pastry and cinnamon, and then this coarse sugar on top. And people are addicted. They buy one kind of hesitant, and then they come back the next day and they buy two more. And we never thought it would be as big of a seller, but it sits on the counter in a jar, and people are like, okay, I'm intrigued. What's that cinnamon thing? Yeah. So right now, I would say that's my favorite.
We're joined by Jody Polk and Jessica Barris. They are the co-owners of the Culinary Combo Bakery in Southfield. Join them for their ribbon cutting event this weekend on October 2nd at 11 o'clock a.m. And then learn more information by going to their website at culinarycombo.com and learn more about what's going on with their ribbon cutting event and their products, their hours, and also their catering services for parties and for other events and so on. Again, their website, culinarycombo.com, and then their regular hours, Tuesday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., Saturday from 7:30 a.m. until 1 p.m., and then delivery is available upon request on Sunday and on Monday. 24-hour notice is required for all deliveries. If you want to join them at their location, that is 29260 Franklin Road, number 126, and that is in the Claymore Complex down there in Southfield. So you began your business a year ago. You had your challenges getting things started because, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has been going on and was really just in the thick of things at that point in time when everything had shut down. How is business right now? How are your day-to-day, week-to-week operations where a lot of retail food businesses and restaurants are struggling to keep things going in some regular motion right now?
Well, I think I'll tell you honestly why we're lucky. I guess we're lucky. We're the only two employees. So I know a lot of my fellow restaurateurs, they're struggling because they can't get people to work. We are fortunate that we actually have family and friends that devote their time to helping us, and that makes our lives a lot easier. But right now, we basically depend on ourselves to do it all and get it done. And if we have to come in at 3 in the morning, we come in at 3 in the morning. It's definitely a labor of love, and we're very passionate. We're both very passionate about it. So it's going well. We're in a great area, but we're like in back of the building. So it's definitely, people have to find us.
I say we're a hidden treasure.
They say we're a hidden treasure. That's right. Once you find us, you'll keep coming back. But It's going well. It's going well. People are definitely starting to find us, and it's working out pretty good. Yeah.
So Jody, Jessica, your ribbon cutting is this weekend, October 2nd at 11 o'clock a.m. When does that run until? What will be your hours for that ribbon cutting this weekend?
So we're open all day, 7:30 to, well, not all day, but our regular hours, 7:30 to 1, but the actual ceremony itself will be at 11 o'clock with the mayor of Southfield, and we'll kind of keep things open and around till 1 in the afternoon.
Okay, and will all those the giveaways, the specials, and all that you were talking about earlier, will those be available during all your regular business hours, or just during the ribbon cutting?
It'll be all day.
All right. Well, you can learn more information again at culinarycombo.com. Their ribbon cutting for Culinary Combo Bakery in Southfield will be this weekend, October 2nd at 11 o'clock. But as Jody and Jessica said, they will be open for their regular hours on Saturday, 7:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. The ribbon cutting itself will happen at 11 a.m. Jody, Jessica, before we say goodbye here in a couple of minutes, anything else that would be interesting for our audience to know, that you want our audience to know about your bakery, about the ribbon cutting this weekend, or anything else coming up in the future?
Sure. Just in general, one of the big aspects of our business is our gift baskets. And I know it is only September 29th, but before you know it, Christmas will be here. And we wanted to let people know that we do gift baskets for corporate gift baskets. We do them for doctor's offices, lawyer offices, referrals, thank yous, anything you can think of. And it's never too early to start getting your list together. And you can give us a call or go on our website to find out pricing and sizes and delivery limitations and where we go, where we don't go. And this year, we're actually going to be having a dessert charcuterie board. It's not going to be for delivery, but you'll be able to pick it up in store. And we think that's something that would be exciting for people.
Well, Jody, Jessica, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and good luck this weekend with the ribbon cutting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate Jody and Jessica joining us to talk about the Culinary Combo Bakery and their grand opening ribbon cutting that was a year in the making as they opened that restaurant. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast. We thank Jody and Jessica, as well as our other guests, Stacie Rene, for joining us, Mark Brewer as well, Paula Swain, and then Jason Langwell, the Executive Director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. You can find all of our interviews from today, as well as our full episode on demand in just a few hours over at our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, and also click on civiccentertv.com/coronavirus for more important information about COVID-19 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the State of Michigan's Health and Human Services Department, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. Big thank you to our entire crew, Jake Kustash out at Master Control, Larry Nyland, our booking producer, and our Zoom producer, getting everybody booked on the show and then ready to go before their interviews each and every day. Calvin Brown, our studio producer and board operator, and a big thank you to all of you for tuning in as well. On Civic Center TV, The Splash with Maddie Mustian is next, and Steve Latho is live on My Michigan TV. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.